Animation often feels emotional, even though the characters are not real. But in stop-motion animation, the characters actually exist physically. They are built from real materials, placed in real environments, and moved frame by frame. This makes stop-motion different from digital animation. Instead of being created entirely inside of a computer, stop-motion relies on real-world materials such as clay, fabric, wool, or foam. Because of this, stop-motion has a unique visual quality. Textures, lighting, and imperfections become a part of the performance. This raises an important question. To what extent do physical materials contribute to the emotional impact in a stop-motion animation? Do these real materials help audiences connect emotionally with characters, or are emotions mainly created through movement, music, and storytelling? To answer this, it's important to know what stop-motion actually is. Stop-motion animation is a filmmaking technique where physical objects are moved slightly between photographs. When the images are played back in sequence, the objects appear to move. This technique has been used for decades in films such as Coraline and many other productions. Because the characters are real models, every detail of their design matters. Unlike digital animation, stop-motion characters have real textures, surfaces, and lighting interactions. Small details such as fingerprints in clay, fibers in fabric, and uneven surfaces can all appear on screen. These imperfections often make the animation feel more tangible and human. For many audiences, this physical presence creates a sense of authenticity that digital animation sometimes lacks. One argument is that physical materials significantly contribute to the emotional impact because they make characters feel more real. Research into animation design suggests that visual materials influence how audiences interpret emotion. Wrong 2019 states that material and color choices can directly affect emotional perception. This means the audience may begin interpreting a character's mood before the character even moves. Soft materials are a good example of this. Textures such as wool and felt and fabric often communicate warmth, vulnerability, and comfort. This can be seen clearly in the short film Oh Willie. In this film, the characters are constructed entirely from thick wool. The fibers are clearly visible, giving the characters a fragile and soft appearance. This material choice reinforces the emotional themes of the story, which include loneliness, grief, and vulnerability. Because the characters appear physically soft and delicate, the audience may subconsciously interpret them as emotionally fragile. Lighting also interacts with these materials in ways that enhance the atmosphere. The wool absorbs and diffuses light, creating softer shadows and warmer visuals. This physical interaction between material and light helps shape the emotional tone in the film. Similarly, in Coraline, the characters wear knitted clothing and exist in highly textured environments. These tactile elements help create a believable world. When the story moves into a darker otherworld, the materials become more artificial and unsettling. This contrast strengthens the emotional impact of the narrative. From this perspective, physical materials play a significant role in shaping emotional experience in stop-motion animation. However, physical materials alone cannot fully explain emotional impact. Another perspective is that emotion in animation is mainly created through movement, timing, and sound. Animation researcher Prasad argues that motion plays a central role in shaping emotional responses. Even simple shapes can appear emotional when animated with expressive timing and movement. Music and sound strongly influences audiences. Music and sound design also strongly influence how audiences interpret scenes. For example, a scene may feel sad, tense, or hopeful, depending on the soundtrack. If the same visuals are played without music, the emotional tone can change dramatically. Narrative context is also essential. A textured puppet without a meaningful story may not create an emotional connection. Digital animation films, which do not use physical materials at all, can still produce a strong emotional reaction from audiences. This suggests that storytelling, performance, and sound design are also powerful emotional tools. When comparing both perspectives, it becomes clear that the emotional impact in stop-motion animation is not created by a single element. Movement, sound, narrative all contribute significantly to how audiences interpret a scene. However, physical materials still provide something unique. They add a sense of realism, warmth, and physical presence that digital animation does not naturally have. Textures can communicate vulnerability or comfort before a character even begins to move. Because of this, materials should be seen as an important foundation that works alongside performance and storytelling. Physical materials contribute to the emotional impact in stop-motion animation to a significant extent. They shape how audiences visually interpret characters and environments, adding realism, warmth, and vulnerability. However, materials do not work in isolation. Emotion in animation emerges through combinations of material design, movement and sound, lighting, and narrative. What makes stop motion special is how these elements combine. Real materials are not just props, they become part of the emotional language of the film. And because audiences can see and feel physicality of these materials on screen, stop motion often creates a uniquely intimate connection between the viewer and the animated world.